1 Kings chapter 21. Siege of Naboth's vineyard. Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard in Jezreel next to the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. Sometime later Ahab said to Naboth, "Give me your vineyard to be my vegetable garden, since it is close by, next to my house. I will give you a better vineyard in exchange, or, if you prefer, I will give you its value in money." Naboth said to Ahab, "The Father forbid that I should give you my ancestral heritage." Ahab went home disturbed and angry at the answer Naboth the Jezreelite had given him. "I will not give you my ancestral heritage." Lying down on his bed, he turned away and would not eat. His wife Jezebel came to him and said to him, "Why are you so sullen that you will not eat?" He answered her, "Because I spoke to Naboth the Jezreelite and said to him, 'Sell me your vineyard, or, if you prefer, I will give you a vineyard in exchange.' But he said, 'I will not give you my vineyard.' Jezebel his wife said to him, 'What a king of Israel you are! Get up, eat, and be cheerful. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite.' So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and having sealed them with his seals, sent them to the elders and to the nobles who lived in the same city with Naboth. This was what she wrote in the letters: 'Proclaim a fast and set Naboth at the head of the people. Next set two scoundrels opposite him to accuse him. You have cursed God the Father and King. Then take him out and stone him to death.' His fellow citizens, the elders, and the nobles who dwelt in his city, did as Jezebel had ordered in the letters she sent them. They proclaimed a fast and set Naboth at the head of the people. Two scoundrels came in and sat opposite Naboth, and the scoundrels accused him in the presence of the people. Naboth had cursed God, the Father, and King, and they led him out of the city and stoned him to death. Then they sent word to Jezebel, 'Naboth has been stoned to death.' When Jezebel learned that Naboth had been stoned to death, she said to Ahab, 'Go take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to sell you, because Naboth is not alive, but dead.' When Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, he started on his way down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. Prophetic condemnation. Then the word of the Father came to Elijah the Tishbite, 'Go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, who is in Samaria. He will be in the vineyard of Naboth, where he has gone to take possession. Tell him, Thus says the Father, Most High, who I am. After murdering, do you also take possession? And tell him, Thus says the Father, In the place where the dogs licked up the blood of Naboth, the dogs shall lick up your blood too.' Ahab said to Elijah, 'Have you found me out, my enemy?' He said, 'I have found you, because you have given yourself up to do evil in the Father's sight. I am bringing evil upon you. I will consume you and will cut off every male belonging to Ahab, whether bond or free, in Israel. I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Ahijah, because you have provoked me by leading Israel into sin. Against Jezebel too, the Father declared. The dogs shall devour Jezebel in the confines of Jezreel. Anyone of Ahab's line who dies in the city, dogs will devour. Anyone who dies in the field, the birds of the sky will devour. Indeed, no one gave himself up to doing of evil in the sight of the Father as did Ahab, urged on by his wife Jezebel. He became completely abominable by going after idols, just as the Amorites had done, whom the Father drove out of the Israelites' way. When Ahab heard these words, he tore his garments and put on sackcloth over his bare flesh. He fasted, slept in sackcloth, and went about subdued. Then the word of the Father came to Elijah the Tishbite. 'Have you seen how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Since he has humbled himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his time. I will bring the evil upon his house in his son's time.' 22. Ahab's defeat by Aram. 3 years passed without war between Aram and Israel. In the third year, however, King Jehoshaphat of Judah came down to the king of Israel. The king of Israel said to his servants, 'Do you not know that Ramoth-Gilead is ours, and we are doing nothing to take it from the king of Aram?' He asked Jehoshaphat, 'Will you come with me to fight against Ramoth-Gilead?' Jehoshaphat answered the king of Israel, 'You and I are as one, and your people and my people, your horses and my horses as well.' Prophetic condemnation. Jehoshaphat also said to the king of Israel, 'Seek the word of the Father at once.' The king of Israel assembled the prophets, about 400 of them, and asked, 'Shall I go to fight against Ramoth-Gilead, or shall I refrain?' They said, 'Attack, and the Father will give it into the power of the king.' But Jehoshaphat said, 'Is there no other prophet of the Father here we might consult?' The king of Israel answered, 'There is one other man through whom we might consult the Father, but I hate him because he prophesies not good but evil about me. He is Micaiah, son of Imlah. Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say that. So the king of Israel called an official and said to him, get Micaiah, son of Imlah, at once. The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, were seated, each on his throne, clothed in their robes of state in the square at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets were prophesying before them. Zedekiah, son of Chenaanah, made himself 2 horns of iron and said, the Father says, with these you shall go around until you have destroyed them. The other prophets prophesied in a similar vein, saying, attack Ramoth-Gilead and conquer. The Father will give into the power of the king. Meanwhile, the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah said to him, look now, the prophets are unanimously predicting good for the king. Let your word be the same as any of theirs. Speak a good word. Micaiah said, as the Father lives, I shall speak whatever the Father tells me. When he came to the king said to him, Micaiah, shall we go fight at Ramoth-Gilead, or shall we refrain? He said, attack and conquer. The Father will give it into the power of the king. But the king answered, how many times must I adjure you to tell me nothing but the truth in the name of the Father? So Micaiah said, I see all Israel scattered on the mountains, like sheep without a shepherd. And the Father saying, these have no master. Let each of them go back home in peace. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you he does not prophesy good about me, but only evil? Micaiah continued, therefore hear the word of the Father. I saw the Father seated on his throne with the whole host of heaven, standing to his right and to his left. The Father asked him, who will deceive Ahab, so that he will go up and fall on Ramoth-Gilead? And one said this, another said that, until this Spirit came forth and stood before the Father, saying, I will deceive him. The Father asked, how? He answered, I will go forth and become a lying spirit in the mouths of all his people, his prophets. The Father replied, you shall succeed in deceiving him. Go forth and do this. So now the Father has put a lying spirit in the mouths of all these prophets of yours. The Father himself has decreed evil against you. Thereupon Zedekiah, son of Chenaanah, came up and struck Micaiah on the cheek, saying, has the Spirit of the Father then left me to speak with you? Micaiah said, you shall find out on the day you go into an inner room to hide. The king of Israel then said, seize Micaiah and take him back to Ammon, prefect of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, this is the king's order. Put this man in prison and feed him scanty rations of bread and water until I come back in safety. But Micaiah said, if you return in safety, the Father has not spoken through me. He also said, hear, O peoples, all of you. Ahab at Ramoth-Gilead. The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, went up to Ramoth-Gilead, and the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and go in battle, but you put on your robes. So the king of Israel disguised himself and entered into the battle. In the meantime, the king of Aram had given his 32 chariot commanders the order, do not fight anyone, great or small, except the king of Israel alone. When the chariot commanders saw Jehoshaphat, they cried out, there is the king of Israel, and willed to fight him. But Jehoshaphat cried out, and the chariot commanders, seeing that he was not the king of Israel, turned away from him. But someone drew his bow at random, and hit the king of Israel between the joints of his breastplate. He ordered his charioteer, rein about, and take me out of the ranks, for I am wounded. The battle grew fierce during the day, and the king, who was propped up in his chariot facing the Arabians, died in the evening. The blood from his wound flowed to the bottom of his chariot. At sunset, a cry went out throughout the army, every man to his city, every man to his land. And so the king died, and came back to Samaria, and they buried him there. When they washed out the chariot at the pool of Samaria, the dogs licked up the blood, and prostitutes bathed there, as the Father had prophesied. The rest of the acts of Ahab, with all that he did, including the ivory house he built, with all the cities he built, are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. Ahab rested with his ancestors, and his son Ahaziah succeeded him as king. Reign of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, became king of Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Azubah, daughter of Shili. He walked in the way of Asa, his father, unceasingly, doing what was right in the Father's sight. Nevertheless, the high places did not disappear, and the people still sacrificed on the high places and burned incense there. Jehoshaphat also made peace with the king of Israel. The rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat with his valor Gezer. What he did and how he fought are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. He removed from the land the rest of the pagan priests who had remained in the reign of Asa his father. There was no king in Edom, but an appointed regent. Jehoshaphat made Tarshish ships to go to Ophir for gold, but in fact the ships did not go because they were wrecked at Ezion-Geber. That was the time when Ahaziah, son of Ahab, had said to Jehoshaphat, "Let my servants accompany your servants in the ships." But Jehoshaphat would not agree. Jehoshaphat rested with his ancestors. He was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, his father, and his son Jehoram succeeded him as king. Thank you so much, Father. All praise and glory due to you. The story of Elijah the Tishbite.